afternoon and welcome into the Strike Zone podcast. I am Joe Hunk. Obviously, you listen to me every single day on 3HL with Brent, Slay, and Dawn. But tonight, we are kicking off I'm going to call it our second season of the Strike Zone podcast. We started this last year during the College World Series, and I was doing this from my home. And I keep looking straight ahead because right across from me right now is the general manager of the Nashville Sounds. As you can see behind me to an extent, we are at First Horizon Park right now. This is where we're going to be broadcasting from every single week throughout the baseball season. So there's a lot of stuff going on, especially this weekend, that you're going to want to know about that is going to be extremely important for, we're going to say, Mother's Day, as well as a few other things. But, Adam, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Well, no, it's fantastic that you're here because if you've never and you don't know a lot about Adam, this is your first full season, right?
It is my first full season in Nashville. So, 18th in baseball.
18th
so
in
been
baseball.
Around, but
now you've said 18th in baseball. So for people that don't know, Adam joined us from Gwinnett, the Gwinnett Stripers. Yes, the Atlanta Braves AAA team. We'll talk a little bit about that just a little bit. But before that, you were in Cali, right?
That's right, Sacramento. 6 years in Sacramento for the River Cats, and tremendous organization out there. But big moves back here to the South.
Well, that's the cool thing about this is that you're a baseball and a minor league lifer. You've done everything in the front office. You've grown with this and this whole thing. But it's your first season in Nashville, and how unique is it becoming in as a general manager to a team, and especially in this day and age of a Nashville Sounds team that they're the Sounds, and they're going to be the Sounds because they have the most and one of the most traditional names in all of minor league baseball.
Absolutely. It's fantastic coming to Nashville. This town is amazing. The sports fan base here is amazing. And, I mean, at the end of the day, the opportunity to come to Nashville and continue to grow an already fantastic franchise was just an opportunity too good to pass up.
Well, and I'm curious about coming to Nashville because you were in Gwinnett.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about it because of the fact that since even though we're in Nashville, and yes, the Nashville Sounds are a Milwaukee Brewers, minor league team, you have a lot of Braves fans. And
totally.
And it was funny during the World Series because we broadcasted every single night after the games. You had so many Braves fans in the area paying attention to it. And being in Gwinnett, how unique is that to know, hey, we're here, but like Franklin is where their players are wanting to be.
35 miles.
Yeah.
It was so unique. And the Gwinnett Stripers are an unbelievable team. They're doing a great job. I was so blessed to be their general manager for 3 years prior to getting this opportunity. But it is a unique challenge. People there have a decision to make. Do you go to a Stripers game? Now, there's 6 million people in Atlanta.
Right.
So, there's enough people to kind of fill both of those big boats. But there was something more unique about seeing the players. We love seeing them go up to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But in Gwinnett, you could literally see them in Gwinnett. The next day, go see them, at Truist Park. So the Braves are a tremendous organization, and I got the World Series ring to prove it. So.
Oh, okay. Hold on. They got you a ring?
They did.
Oh man.
They did.
So is it as massive in the?
It's the biggest
Dude,
thing. I should have brought it.
I thought you were wearing it.
I
should have
brought it.
Down?
I should have brought it, but yeah, it's as big as big as it looks.
Well, and with Gwinnett, the experience of, we know in Nashville, there's a potential of, okay, a guy's pitching or scheduled to pitch on Friday, but hey, if something happens, he's going up. In Gwinnett, how unique was it to go, hey, our guy may be starting tonight, but literally if something happens at 8 a.m., he's gone.
Well, even crazier than that is our game started at 7:05. The Braves started at 7:35. So there were times when a guy would throw an inning and then get pulled because they needed him to go up to the bullpen the next day or whatever it might be. So, total. And that's why Major League Baseball has restructured this largely because geographically our job's to support the big league club.
Right.
And we're an easy flight to Milwaukee. We love our relationship with the Brewers. But yeah, that's one of the benefits of having your AAA team close.
Well, and with the whole idea of that is, and people don't realize, a general manager in Major League Baseball is a little bit different than a general manager in minor leagues. And I don't know much about AAA. I'm learning as we're going along. But with that, are you getting the call? Is Alex A giving you a call? Like, how's that happen?
Alex Anthopoulos is a great guy. I mean, what he did last year was unbelievable. We certainly are involved in making sure that they get transferred, they get transportation wherever they need to go. But the call goes through the manager.
Oh, okay.
Their baseball ops people go to the manager. The manager delivers the message to the player, and we're notified shortly after the manager.
Okay, so you mentioned a pitcher pitched 1 inning, okay, and went in. Has it been like that where you are seeing a guy, he's went in, he's got 2 outs, there's like a strike or something, and you look and you see your manager walking out and you're going, no way. This isn't really happening right now,
it's
right?
Great. Yeah, and all of a sudden you'll see a guy get 2 outs, and then you see somebody up in the bullpen, and you go, what? We weren't scheduled, we weren't supposed to have an opener today.
Right.
And then you just knew something happened. So
wow. So yeah. And with that now, you've come to Nashville.
Yeah.
You've been here since October.
Yeah.
And in this scenario, this is unique because it's not like 2020 or 2021 where okay, there weren't a lot of fans that were able. Your attendance was growing a little bit. So what is the first full season like, especially the first 2 weeks? Because I don't know if you know, you got a really good baseball team on the field right now.
We have a great baseball team on the field. I mean, the talent that's out there right now. I mean, Ethan Small was pitcher of the month. Mm-hmm. You got Bryce Terang, you got White, you got all these guys that are just absolutely killing ball. Singleton smashing the ball, and so we have a great product on the field, but minor league baseball at its core is about the fan experience. Mm-hmm. It's about entertainment, and it's about from the time you get here to the time you leave having a good time. And you have that for the diehard fans. They get to watch the baseball, and it's a great quality of baseball. But at the end of the day, not everyone's out here for that.
Right.
So there's something for everyone, and that's what we try to focus on.
Now, and I'm going to ask you about that because this weekend you guys have some really fun things that are happening. And if you are in the Nashville area and you are watching this right now on Zone TV, you can watch on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all of those that we always say. You're going to want to know this. But before I ask about this, does he get fined for hitting the scoreboard, John Singleton?
No way.
Okay, because if you don't know, exactly.
That's a resilient scoreboard.
Okay, so if you don't know, and the scoreboard's directly behind me, you can see it in the shot. Last night, John Singleton hit the guitar. He hit that with a bomb in that, and I saw it, and I just went, okay, that was nasty.
Yeah.
About that. I mean, you're talking about a bomb.
That's a poke.
Yeah.
That's that's every bit of probably 440, 450. The guys have been crushing the ball. That was a great win for us last night, and excited to see them keep it going.
Now, and if you don't know, the Norfolk Tides is the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. There's a lot of players on this team that are in the top 25 for the Baltimore Orioles in their minor league organization about trying to get up to Baltimore to try to help them out. But now, just a second ago, you mentioned everything for everybody. Now, a lot of people know about Hit City. A lot of people know about all the bars and all that stuff that you have over the golf course, mentioned all that. But something you guys are doing on Saturday, which is Kentucky Derby Day.
Yeah.
You guys are having like a derby party.
Absolutely. We're going to celebrate. And I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. So I grew up around the horses, all that good stuff. And so, yeah, there's going to be some fun games. We're going to incorporate horse racing as much as we can. I'll be decked out. Our whole staff will be. We'll have our derby vest on, and we'll be having a good time for sure.
Well, and so what all is going to be coming on with Derby Day? What's going to be happening with this at the game?
Everything's going to be horse themed. Everything's going to be horse racing themed. We'll have games in between innings, all centered around horse racing. People, obviously we'll be showing the race when around here, but we can't officially call it a derby watch party.
Yeah.
That's not what we're about.
No.
But we're certainly going to be celebrating everything that is the Run for the Roses.
Now, and the other thing that you guys are doing that's really cool for Braves fans, because we have mentioned the Braves and we talked about that in the very beginning, is you've got a T-shirt giveaway. It's not really a T-shirt; it's a jersey.
T-shirt jersey. Yeah,
it's a T-shirt jersey, but it's of somebody that Atlanta Braves fans are kind of interested in.
That's right, Dansby Swanson.
Yep,
and also Vandy Boy.
Yep.
So. When we were thinking about who we could honor, he made a ton of sense because of his ties to Nashville and the fact that he just won a World Series. Mm-hmm. And so he was gracious enough to let us use his name and likeness. And, I think that'll be a really popular giveaway.
Yeah, so that is going to be happening on Saturday. Now, here's Sunday, and I need to focus on the camera, and I need to emphasize this because if you have yet to get any sort of Mother's Day gift for your mom or your wife, or your girlfriend, or whoever it is that is the mother of your child or you are the child of, the Sounds are doing a Mother's Day event, and there's multiple things going on this. You can, if you're just coming into the game, you guys have something for Mother's Day for those folks.
Yeah, so we have Mother's Day. Moms and kids can run the bases post game. They can play catch on the field as well. baseball is all about family. And on Sunday, we want to celebrate the moms. Every one of these guys down here playing for us is going to want to celebrate their moms as well. And so on the field, we want to get everybody out there and have a good time. And it's not that often you get to step foot on First Horizon on the field at First Horizon Park.
No, it's a beautiful surface. Now there's another package that you could potentially get as well that just amps up the Mother's Day experience.
Absolutely, you can treat your mom to the Mother's Day brunch. We've got obviously all your traditional breakfast foods, but the kicker for moms is we got bottomless mimosas as well, and up on our club level, so it's an exclusive experience too. You get out, you get in the air conditioning. Treat mom right on Sunday and come out here and see us.
Now, if somebody does want to get either one of those packages, they go to the website?
Yep, NashvilleSounds.com.
Yep, NashvilleSounds.com is where you can go and get it. Now, but before we let you go, because there's a game going on, and I know how much you got to pay attention to, we were talking about your history in Gwinnett, and we were talking about your history with the Braves. I don't want to ask about the players. I don't want to ask about Acuna's rehab that he just had and what he went through. I don't want to ask about any of that. I have a really important question, and it is the simple fact of, were you on set for Brockmire? Yes or no?
I was not.
Oh, my God.
That was before me. But, yeah, that was one of the coolest stories I heard when I first got there, was that they filmed Brockmire at Coolray Field down there, which was so cool. I love that show. I watched it. It's bananas, but it's awesome, too.
It is. If you've never seen it, it was on IFC. The show is about a radio announcer that basically does something extremely dumb in the major leagues.
A fall from grace.
There's a really good way of saying it. Yeah, it's a fall from grace. And he's a very old school play-by-play guy. And he starts out I would say low A ball. That's kind of where he started
almost
at.
Indie ball, yeah.
It's almost indie ball.
Yeah.
But through the second or third season, they do the whole series in Georgia, even though they'll say they're in New Orleans or they'll say they're in Oakland or wherever they were. But majority of the filming happened at your field in Gwinnett.
It was very cool.
Oh, that was so awesome. And
one of the perks of being in Georgia and where so much Hollywood happens right there in Atlanta.
Yeah, so it was really awesome to see. So if you've never seen the show, go watch it. And at any point in time, if you're at First Horizon, you see Adam walking around, ask him about his ring. Are you going to bring the ring out at any
I'll
point
bring
in
it
time?
Out. Yeah, I've had it around. I've worn it a few times. It's just so big that, man.
Yeah. Now before we let you go, last thing for you. You do guys, we talked about Mother's Day. We talked about everything happening for Derby Day. But later on this summer, you guys have a ton of things that you've come up with. The funnest part about being in the minor leagues is coming up with the fun days.
Totally.
So what are some stuff that you guys have that Nashville Sounds fans don't know about yet?
Well, a couple of things. As soon as June kicks in, we have fireworks every Friday. We're going to continue to have live music and make it a party vibe out here on Saturdays, family Sundays. But we have some great promotions. We have our play ball weekend where we have clinics and a celebration of some of the African-American baseball players that have come through Nashville.
Yes.
We're going to be honoring Turkey Stearns, who's actually the only native Tennessean in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, born in Nashville.
That is
and
awesome.
Played for the Detroit Monarchs.
That is so awesome.
So, we've got a lot planned for this summer, so come on out and see us. Can't wait to say hi to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So come on down, enjoy the ball games, and if you're here on Thursday nights, we're kind of hanging out as well.
Absolutely.
General Manager Adam English, he is the General Manager of the Nashville Sounds. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
And thank you for starting this out. So I appreciate it. So everybody's hopping in. They're loving everything that we're talking about so far, and I already got some people saying they want some of those Dansby Swanson shirts.
Cool.
So
there
absolutely.
We go.
All right, as Adam English, you can make sure that you come down again. Go to the Nashville Sounds website. And you can go and you can get that. Adam, man, thanks so much, sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you so much. That is Adam English right there. As we are good to go, I'm going to let him go because we're live and we're just rolling out right now. Adam, have a great one, man. All right, this is, again, the Strike Zone podcast. Starting it off straight up here. Now, you can see, like I said, directly behind me. Tonight, we are actually in the Advanced Financial 24/7 deck that you have. Now, if you've ever been to First Horizon Park and you see what's going on with that, we are in the right over the third baseline is going. Now, we get in on that chat. You can always get in on the chat every single time. Follow me on Twitter at Joe Hunk. Follow us on Facebook. Get that like, get that notification the very moment that we go live, whether it is myself, whether it is J. Martin, Ramon, Buck Rising, well, any of the shows, as well as 3HL and Blaine and Mickey. You can do that. So you can get in, start getting those questions in as we start throughout the evening here at First Horizon Park. Now, Michael just brought up something I was honestly hoping to talk about, Michael. And it is, and I may mess up his name, but it is Adley Richmond. Okay, and he is, if not the top prospect, like the number 2 prospect in the Baltimore Orioles organization. The cool thing about him, and again, they still have a few games here in Nashville before the road trip starts. They're going to be here all the way through Sunday night into Monday. If you play MLB The Show, he is one of the best cards that you can get on MLB The Show. It is so much fun to play with him. I think he's been in MLB The Show for like the last 2 or 3 seasons, and he's just been killing it, at least when you have the card. So look, if you have the opportunity, get that card and go in and you can play with him. But yes, he is the Baltimore Orioles number 1 or number 2 overall prospect, depending on who you look at. And there's a potential that he's going to get called up to Norfolk while they are in Nashville. So if that does happen, we'll be talking about it. But look, we started off, we went directly into Adam English, and there were some things with the stream that we needed to hit on, okay? Because with the stream, like we've been doing it, we went all the way through the World Series last year. Once we got to the World Series, once we wrapped that up, we took a little bit of a hiatus, and now we're back. And we're here at First Horizon Park. We're going to be here every single Thursday. If the Sounds aren't here, I'll be on the field. Like, I mean, seriously, like, they have given me the reins of this entire baseball stadium when the Sounds are on a road trip. So we can do whatever we want to during the Strike Zone podcast as it goes every single Thursday. Now, the thing about the Sounds are, and yes, we are going to talk a lot about the Braves this year. Yes, there's a lot going on in Major League Baseball that we're going to be hitting on. But the cool thing is if you are in Nashville and you're with the Sounds and you are a Brave or a Brewers fan, you get that opportunity to see a lot of talent coming through here. I wasn't joking when I talked to Adam English just a little while ago about John Singleton. He nailed the scoreboard out in right center field, nailed it with a home run last night. Bryce Terang, if you don't know anything about him, he's the number 4 overall prospect for the Brewers. Ethan Small, he is one of, if not the best pitchers right now in the International League. He leads the International League in ERA. He's got a sub-1 ERA. And I talked to some guys here before we went on the air, and I talked to some guys last week. The only reason he is still in AAA and he's not up with Milwaukee is just because he hasn't got his flight hours in. If you don't know what that means, there's a lot of times whenever you're becoming a pilot, one of the main qualifications that you need to become a pilot or to get a different type of license where you can fly a bigger plane is you've got to get your hours in, and you've got to get your flight hours in. That's kind of what the Brewers are doing with Ethan Small. And then you have Josh Lindblom, who is number 7 in the International League in WHIP, and he's the one that got the dub last night. So that's what you're looking at with the Brewers if you're going to be coming out to the ballpark over the next 3 days. Grayson Rodriguez, whenever he does pitch, he's the Orioles' number 2 prospect on many of the sites. So that's going to mean that Adley is going to be your number 1 prospect. You got Jamie Jones, who's the Orioles' number 22 prospect. He's out here. And Tyler Nevin, who is not on any of the prospect lists for the or for the Orioles. He is 3rd in the International League right now in batting average. So those are a couple of the things that you need to look for if you are coming out to the news. So it's going to be, look, Michael just said that Norfolk just confirmed the news that Adley is going to be there and going to be here on Friday. So we're doing this on a Thursday night. That means tomorrow night he is going to be in the building, and you're going to get to see one of Major League Baseball's future players coming up here through Nashville and coming up into First Horizon Park. Now, let's talk a little about the Braves, okay? And so now, as this whole stream has been going, and as it has been going on as we speak, I'm getting some tweets out right now just to make sure everybody's going. And I'm really curious about how Braves fans feel in 2022, because the last time we all talked, I was crying on camera. My son had just watched the last out of the World Series with me. Braves fans started off a season where they were below 500. They were barely 500. And then they get this major news that basically just destroyed the entire season because everybody thought that Ronald Acuna Jr. was going to be the end of the Braves season when he got injured in Miami. Then comes the trade deadline. Then comes the run. Then the playoffs. Screw the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then your World Series champs after beating the Houston Astros. And I think that that's kind of the reason that in 2022 now, the Braves' struggles as they are currently happening, I don't know too many Braves fans that are kind of freaking out as we speak. And it's a little bit unique. I think more people are actually talking about the baseballs and what happened with Madison Bumgarner and the way that the ball is or is not flying out of the ballpark, and the humidors, and what are they doing for baseball, and juiced up baseballs, and baseballs that have been deadened. And I think that's a little bit of it. And Yorkie just shot in on the chat. You can shoot in on the chat as well. That I'm pretty sure that the Braves hangover is because of the championship, and it was because of the stress that Braves fans had last baseball season. And I mean, I could be totally wrong about that, but that is kind of is something that the way that it seems as this season is starting to kind of progress, because it isn't a scenario where you're like, hey, look, we've been here before. We sucked last year. We thought that we were going to be out of the World Series. We thought we were going to be out of the playoffs. We didn't think that anything good was going to be taking place. And then, boom, we're World Series champs. So I do think that there's a bit of a hangover when it comes to the World Series, and the fact that Braves fans are like, look, man, we've been here before. This is nothing for us to worry about just yet. Ronald Acuna Jr. just got back, and we're all set to go when it comes to him being productive on this. Now, if you don't know about the Madison Bumgarner story, that happened the other night. And the Madison Bumgarner story is one that Major League Baseball fans may not know that much about, just because of this is part of the new collective bargaining agreement, okay? And what I'm meaning by the new collective bargaining agreement is, if you remember last year, during the season, we started seeing, I don't care about the hawk. Let's show off the field, man. Let's back that up. I'm moving the camera around just a little bit. I'm like, no, sir. We are going to make this where you can see, and we are good to go. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. So let's take a seat here, and we're going to be set for the rest of the night. But what I think is really going to be happening is, last year you saw these pitchers specifically start to freak out over the umpires coming up and looking for foreign substances. It came in halfway through the season. It wasn't even halfway. It's probably like a quarter of the way through the season. And in doing so, you started seeing pitchers get so upset. So when the collective bargaining agreement happened over the winter, part of the agreement is that the umpires now could still check, and they could still see, hey, if a pitcher had a foreign substance or anything along those lines, they could still see it. But instead of checking the pants, the hat, the belt, all that sort of stuff that you've been seeing over last season, now the only thing that they're going to be checking are what I'm holding up into the camera, your fingers. That's it. So it is all they can check now is your hands, and just to see if there are any sort of foreign substances on your fingertips or on your hands to possibly get you caught on that. So the Madison Bumgarner thing, Bumgarner comes off the mound. He was pitching against Miami for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He starts pitching, and he starts to come off the mound. The umpire wants to look at his hand. Umpire just kind of held it just a little bit too long. Bumgarner was kind of getting a little frustrated with it, and he started going off. Next thing you know, they start yelling at each other, and Bumgarner gets ejected. And I think that, look, I understand the thought process when it does come to the baseballs and with pitchers, mainly because Major League Baseball at this point in time is doing something to try to counteract the seams in the baseballs. If you go back to a couple of the streams from last year that we did in our archives, we talked about how the seams and how they're a lot tighter now. The ball is more of a pearl than what it was with the big seams that we used to have whenever we were playing in Little League Baseball. And so part of this is also having to figure out the humidors. And the humidors are going to be across Major League Baseball. The humidors used to just be in a few stadiums. used to be in Colorado, used to be in Arizona, and maybe somewhere like Miami that is like ocean level or something along those lines. They may have had a humidor there. But what Major League Baseball is doing now is every single ballpark has a humidor. And in a lot of these stadiums, which are older stadiums, some of the older stadiums, they basically just put it into like a walkway somewhere in here. So like if you're a Nashville Sounds field member, or if you're somebody that's working on the grounds crew, you're walking somewhere, and now, boom, there's a big square humidor there that had never been there before that Major League Baseball has been put in. I'm talking about with Major League Baseball stadiums. So the humidor, and what Major League Baseball is trying to figure out is L.A. has a different humidor setting than what Seattle does, than what Texas and Houston has, than what Dallas has, what Atlanta has, and what Miami has, and New York and Chicago and Kansas City, and we can go all the way around Major League Baseball. And all these settings are all trying to make the baseball identical. Because the cool thing that Major League Baseball does is the fact that no field looks identical. I'm right here at First Horizon Park, and you've got a unique setup for the right field wall that has a curve in it going into the alley in right center field that can, if it hits it just right, it's going to be able to shoot off closer into center field than what it would be hitting going to the wall. So the baseball fields all have a personality. And so obviously baseball is saying, all right, well, we're not going to change the stadiums. It's not going to be like football or the NBA or any other sport where every single field is the exact same. So instead, let's try to make the baseballs the exact same. So what is going to happen is they're trying to adjust all of these levels so that everything throughout Major League Baseball is balanced with these baseballs. And so they are going to be checking to see, all right, if in L.A. the numbers are down 5%. All right, well, in Colorado the numbers are up 8%. So maybe we need to adjust the humidor in Colorado so that we can get a 5% drop. And then they'd be like, okay, well, we want a 5% drop all across baseball in every stadium where it's all balanced out that way. That's kind of what Major League Baseball is trying to do. So they're trying to make and become active in fixing these baseballs. And so they don't want pitchers using any sort of sticky substances, which pitchers are always going to do, to try to fix what is going on, and they want to make sure that the pitchers aren't doing anything to get themselves and try to give themselves any sort of advantage, because baseball is trying to balance out every single thing that's going on. And Yorkie says it's so dumb. I agree. Look, baseball is baseball, and I do agree. I understand the idea of the humidor, especially in somewhere like Colorado, Arizona, where the humidity level is so different that it does cause the baseballs to fly a certain speed, especially if the windows and everything are open and you're looking at an open ballpark. Those types of things, that's extremely important. But, okay, you don't really need it in every single baseball stadium. I can see why a lot of fans are going to be doing that. So now you have some of the reasoning for why umpires, and you're going to see it every single time they go to break, because that popular shot that you'll see on baseball is you'll see that shot of the ball or the pitcher coming off the mound and the umpire just walking over and them having a little bit of a conversation. By the way, right now, Nashville's in a really big inning. It's tied at 2. Nashville was actually down 2-0 when we got here. So we may have a little bit of good luck for the Nashville Sounds. And so that may be something they're going to want to keep us around for what's going on. Let us know where where you are watching the Strike Zone podcast tonight. I want to know everywhere that we are going. I know we're going to be in Nashville. I know we're going to be in places like that. I know that a lot of people are kind of getting ready for the Preds game that's going to be happening a little bit later on, in some of that stuff that is happening. But let me remind everybody, and this is going to be something that I have screwed up with so many times. Okay, set your fantasy baseball rosters the night before. That's all I'm asking, man. Just set it the night before, okay? I screwed up today, and I had Shohei Ohtani on my bench because I thought the Angels and the Red Sox played tonight, and they had a day game, and I totally missed where everybody and what Shohei Ohtani did tonight, or did today in Boston with the amazing pitching performance that he had. All right, so we've got a few coming in. Lou is watching from New Haven, Connecticut. That is awesome, Lou. We appreciate it. Calvin is listening in Jolton. Yorkie is in Verbena, Alabama. Calvin, 2024, let's have a Major League Baseball team. I'm with you. Okay, I'm totally with you. I know that when the conversation started popping up about the new stadium with the Tennessee Titans, the thought was that oh, well, if they're tearing down Nissan Stadium, let's just put a baseball stadium there. We know it's the size. We know it can fit there. So let's go ahead and do it. Well, there's some plans for Nissan Stadium and what's going to happen once that stadium is destroyed if everything goes through that is supposed to go through. So the baseball stadium is probably, if there is one that ever comes to Nashville, it's not going to go there. I do have a question, and I knew that Adam wouldn't know this, but in honor of what's kind of happening here, and especially even tonight, because if you're keeping up on Twitter or if you're watching on MILB.com, or if you've seen the pictures, the Sounds every single Thursday night are rocking their classic Nashville Sounds uniforms from 1978. And I mean, that's the old school the royal blue, the red, the uniforms that we got really used to when thinking of Nashville Sounds baseball. But also, it is the colors that we really saw when the Nashville Sounds were down the street. And I use down the street kind of just saying the word, oh, down the street, but at Herschel Greer. And so I've always wondered, okay, because every time I go by Herschel Greer, or I'm just even driving through where the park is and all of that, I've seen the pictures. Is anything going on at that location? I know the scoreboard is still there. If you don't know, the scoreboard that is directly behind me is not the same scoreboard that was over at Greer. By the way, if you don't know what the Herschel Greer Stadium is, go find the old Alabama album. I'm talking about the band Alabama. There's a picture of them in a baseball stadium on the cover of their album. That was Herschel Greer, okay, because members of the band Alabama actually had owning stock in the Nashville Sounds. So Michael says nothing is going on there, okay? And Calvin says parking would be a mess, but that would be amazing. See, the whole idea with baseball now, and the Atlanta Braves have done this. They've kind of copied what Wrigley Field has eventually grown into, what the Boston Red Sox kind of have with, I think it's still called Yawkey Way. I know there was a point where they were trying to not call it Yawkey Way anyway because of some things that Yawkey had done in the past. But they have built like a community around the baseball stadium. And in old days, the idea was, let's move a ballpark into an area of town, and businesses are going to want to come in just because they'll want the traffic that comes in with the baseball stadium. That's kind of what the Braves did with Turner. That's what, you can look at where the Brewers used to play in Milwaukee, in all these other stadiums that were really kind of downtown. And the whole thought process is, oh, we'll build up around it. Well, nothing ever got built. Turner Field wasn't the best place to go watch a baseball game. I mean, the stadium itself never was a fan of it. But also trying to get to your car at night just wasn't really fun. So now they're building these communities, okay? And honestly, the Titans are kind of thinking about doing the exact same thing if they do this with the brand new ballpark that's going to be built, in theory, in the parking lot at Nissan Stadium. So, because what's going to happen is they're going to tear down Nissan Stadium. They're going to, and again, the idea is they're going to want to build lofts, and they're going to want to build like bars and restaurants and all this other stuff, shops and stores and all this stuff, very much like what you see at the Battery. But they're going to be doing it over there because, guys, let's be honest, we've kind of gotten as close to the Cumberland as we can with everything in Nashville. I mean, if you're going and you're driving and you get to that 440-65 interchange, I mean, we've gotten to our limit of everything that can kind of happen in the circle that is originally Nashville. I mean, yes, the Gulch, we can kind of push some things out, and things are getting built that way, but then you've got Vanderbilt's campus. So the idea of kind of being landlocked is a real possibility. So let's kind of move some things over the Cumberland, and that's where kind of like moving in that direction, and that's kind of the thought process that the Titans have. If this were to be an idea, why not build it at Herschel Greer? And I'm only asking that as somebody, again, that's only been here for a few years. But think about the history. And I think that part of that with me is the fact that I'm so big into history when it comes to the Yankee Stadium that was previous to the one that was just built and opened up in 2009. Because I feel like there's something about the baseball ghosts. There's just something there. And it may be just our memory and our history and what we remember. But if you've went to a Braves game when it was at Turner Field and you parked it where Fulton County was, don't even lie to yourself. All right, Marquise Grissom caught the ball right there. David Justice's home run landed right there. That is where they got into the fight. This is where Jim Lawrence decided to just ruin every single Atlanta Braves fan life. Like, we all remember all of those spots because they put the stadium and they outlined it in concrete and brick. And so I'm all about the ghosts and respecting the ghosts, okay? And the Braves did something smart because nobody was going to build on that land around Fulton County and Turner Fields. And obviously the city of Fulton was never going to give, or I should say the county of Fulton, was never going to give the Braves what they wanted, so they had to go out to Cobb County. But Yankee Stadium, George Steinbrenner just did that because he was a prick. I mean, let's just be honest. He just wanted to build the new stadium to build the new stadium. And so that is why I'm curious about it. Now, Michael threw in something really interesting in the chat. He says the history of baseball is why First Horizon Park is where it is. Sulphur Dell, which was the park before Herschel Greer, was on the site of First Horizon. That is absolutely amazing. So right here is the history of Nashville baseball. So I'm looking this up now as we're talking because I don't know anything about Herschel Dell. Okay, I have no clue about any of this. So I'm looking this up as we're talking about right now. So, yeah, Herschel Dell, formerly known as or not Herschel Dell, Sulphur Dell, Sulphur Spring Park and Athletic Park is the location for minor league baseball for Nashville from 1885 to 1963, and everything was demolished in 1969. So let me ask, who all played here? Okay, because I see exactly what Wikipedia is telling me, and I'm going to be honest, this is where I'm going because, I mean, it's all fact. So you had the Nashville Americans, you had the Nashville Vols, they played here, and you also had the Centennials, the Tigers, the Blues, the Nashville Standard / Elite Giants, the Nashville Stars, which I think is extremely important to this story. And you also have the Nashville Black Vols and Cubs. So now here's where I'm curious about this because with me being and talking about all this history that we've been talking about throughout the evening, I am very curious about, first off, you're not going to take this stadium away from the Sounds. Like this is their stadium, okay? That would not be something that you would want to do. So so if you are a Nashville fan, obviously you don't want to go with the Vols and all that sort of stuff, but I know for the longest time in Nashville, we've heard this conversation about Nashville Stars, and that was the name of the Negro Leagues team here. Obviously, you had the Black Vols and the Cubs. You don't want to go with Vols. You can't go with Cubs if you go into Major League Baseball. Like the idea that that you would have something like the Nashville Stars and have them play, that would be amazing. Now, this ballpark is going to be the Sounds ballpark. Now, the history, this sucker right here, this now is even cooler than what I ever imagined, to be able to be doing the Strike Zone podcast on the 104.5 The Zone, Zone TV, and to be doing it in the same location as some of those players that have played at this spot, whether it was for the Vols or if it was in the Negro Leagues or wherever it was. That is amazing. And the fact that Michael, you told me that, excites me big time. But that's where you're looking for when you're looking for land. Obviously, this area, Germantown, this area is built up and is building up as we speak right now because, again, we just said we've went to the Cumberland as far as we can go, okay? You're not going to fill the Cumberland in. I know it doesn't move. And I know there's probably some dead bodies down there. But you're not going to get something like that, and you're going to need to move somewhere. City of Nashville's moved north. It's moved south. It can't move west too much, and it's starting to move east. So there's certain aspects and parts about this city that I think would be a really cool aspect about building a brand new baseball stadium. So, no, I don't think that it's going to happen where Nissan Stadium currently is, but I could totally see, depending on who owns the land, what developers want to get involved with it, building on Greer. I would love for it to be there. I think the history of the Nashville Sounds and the history of Nashville baseball at Greer should be remembered as well, the same way that it's getting remembered here with everything there. And Michael says if you go behind the batter's eye at First Horizon, you'll see a plaque dedicated to that. My car is parked right behind the batter's eye in center field. And I totally missed this plaque, or I saw it and I didn't think anything about it. So I'm going to check that out when we wrap up here in just a few minutes. And I'm going to go check this plaque out because that's what – look, the whole point of this, and I understand this, and this isn't kind of a behind-the-curtain type thing, but when it comes to 104.5 The Zone, we have so many talented people doing so many different things, okay? You have, obviously, everybody on Titans Radio, Rhett, Coach Mac, Mike, obviously Ramon, all those guys doing everything on Titans Radio and covering the Titans. Will and Lucas are doing an amazing job with the Nashville SC, and with their, by the way, their game is on Sunday afternoon. Make sure you go. But they're doing amazing things there. We obviously cover Preds, and Will and Lucas was doing that last hockey season as well. No, nobody's really paying attention to them right now. But baseball is the sport that the city of Nashville really kind of doesn't have that is available to be moved into and to have some residency, because we're starting to claim the Memphis Grizzlies a little bit more in Nashville, especially with Ja and especially with everything that was happening and has happened the past few nights with this series with the Warriors. Obviously the Preds and the Titans are already here. So the baseball team, and this is where the Sounds and their thing is, people, if you don't know this, guys, their last series that the Sounds had here, they sold out almost every single game. Like, there are baseball fans in this city. That's the reason this podcast was started, is because there are a ton of baseball fans, whether they're Braves fans, whether they're Sounds fans, whether they're Nashville fans, whether they're Reds fans, or Brewers fans. We have a lot of baseball fans here. And there's a love for this city that will support anything, okay? Look, I'm going to be straight up behind. I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm not going to be straight up behind you because that would be really weird and that would creep some people out. But even if the Preds lose tonight, Bridgestone is going to be rocking on Saturday for the Preds. It is going to be a madhouse down at Bridgestone, okay? It is going to. Why? Because this city supports sports more than any other city that I've seen. Not just one or two sports. They support every sport. The Sounds, sold out. Preds, sold out. Titans, sold out. Grizz now, oh my heavens. If you haven't been to a Grizz game, go. And I know that's Memphis, but this state and this city support it. You get a Major League Baseball team here. We just talked to Adam English to start this stream. He was in Gwinnett, a city which is a suburb of Atlanta that has both a AAA team and a Major League Baseball team. It can be done, okay? Just because the Sounds are here does not mean that this city would also not support a Major League Baseball team, because you can go to either one. And with the way prices are now, especially with baseball games and Major League Baseball games, coming to a Sounds game is a fantastic experience. Go grab you a bite to eat at Third and Home, which is right over here to my right now. By the way, the balcony packed at Third and Home as we speak. You've got restaurants all up and down the street here in Germantown, directly behind First Horizon Park. Dude, there's tons to do here. Come and enjoy a game. Have fun out here and have it. Let's get back to our things, our tweets, and our comments before we roll out and we finish up this stream tonight. Calvin asks, will the Rays relocate? Oh, God, okay. I believe the Tampa Bay Rays are going to relocate somewhere, okay? I believe Major League Baseball is going to want them to stay on the East Coast. It's either going to be Nashville or it's going to be Montreal. Those are your two options. Because what's going to be happening is on the West Coast, the Oakland A's are eventually going to move if they cannot get a deal done. And they're going to either go to Vegas or they're going to go to Portland. One of those two cities are going to be getting the Oakland A's. So it's going to be up for the Rays. If I am Tampa Bay and I'm the Rays and I'm their ownership, I want Nashville, okay? There's multiple reasons for this. All right, Montreal is geographically a smarter location for the Tampa Bay Rays to relocate because then the AL East would be made up of the Toronto Blue Jays, which are in Canada, have the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Yankees. You're all around each other. Like you would all be around each other, okay? They changed their name to the Expos, and it would everything would be right with the world, and everything be going like it is. All right? But Nashville is smarter because of the fact that we were just talking to Adam English, and he was talking about how he would have a pitcher pitching for the Stripers in Gwinnett, and they would have to get pulled because they were getting sent to Atlanta. And I don't mean, they're going to see Atlanta and San Francisco. They were going to Truist, and they had to get in the car and get to the stadium. Durham is not that close to Nashville as Gwinnett is to Atlanta, but at the exact same time, it is a very short flight. So if at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. you have an injury to a pitcher, you can get somebody from Durham there. You can get somebody from Montgomery there. You're not going to bring anybody from Bowling Green, but you got Bowling Green there as well. So geographically, with the way the Rays minor league system is made, this is the smart thing to do, would be Nashville. Plus, as much as this city has supported the Titans, has supported the Preds, let's be honest, man, you're going to get some built-in support because we love everything that's Nashville. And the great thing about Nashville is it's different than any other cities is because there's so many transplants coming in that you do have baseball fans from every sort of region that want Major League Baseball, and they're going to go. That's how the Titans got started. Yes, first season of the Titans, I would say specifically probably the first 7, probably 4 or 5 games, you weren't going to watch the Titans because you were going to watch what other teams that they were playing. You were going to watch the Rams. You were going to watch the Steelers. You were going to watch the Packers. You were going to watch, like, those were the teams you're going to watch. And then eventually you become fans of your own guys. Now, what would be really cool, and this has happened, is if the Rays were to move to Nashville and the contract with the Sounds comes up with the Brewers and the Rays became their AAA affiliate, and then boom, you're all of 20 miles away from each other, if that. I say 20 miles, it's more like 20-minute drive from each other, and you're good to go. All right, so let me go back into some of our tweets and our comments that are coming in right now. JV says, don't do Memphis like that. Great barbecue, music, a lot of historic things to do or see. No, I agree. And Memphis was great as well because Memphis built the Redbird Stadium close to Beale and close to FedEx. And so you can go to Beale Street and then go to a Redbirds game, and it's all in the same. You can go have some delicious barbecue. You can go watch a Cardinals player that's down on a rehab stint, and you can do something, and you can then enjoy it. Or flip-flop it. You can go to a Redbirds game, then you can head down, you can go to Beale Street, and you can party for the rest of the night. Memphis does it great. And that stadium is beautiful, and that area is starting to become extremely cool. It was kind of sketchy for a while, but it's becoming better. Calvin says, as a diehard Braves fan, I'd love to see the Rays here since they are the AL. And I agree with that because I don't think that regardless as to where the Rays go, that they should swap over to the NL, even if they were to go to Montreal and change their name back to the Expos, because now we're in a part because everybody has a DH, and we have the Shohei Ohtani rule, which is, I mean, it's actually a rule for any pitcher that wants to hit, but it's the Shohei Ohtani rule. Since we have that, there is no reason for the Rays to swap over. So you would have the Braves 3 hours down the road, and then you would also have the Rays here, which could be called, if they want to be, I don't think Nashville Rays is really going to work. Then you'll have those two teams as well. JV, I appreciate the love, man. I really do. My wife just hopped in and said, Ollie said, hey, Daddy. Buddy, I love you. I'm about to be on my way home. And I promise you, if I would have thought about this, I know I'm at a baseball stadium, and I know that we're talking baseball, but if my son was watching right now, I would 100% read him a bedtime story right here on the stream. I would totally do it. If I had brought the book, Dragons Love Tacos, I would have 100% read that for him so that I could read him a book before he goes to sleep, because I know he's going to be asleep for the time I get home. I appreciate everybody that has watched tonight, that has logged in. Oh, he's watching? All right. This is totally off the cuff, okay? I said I was going to wrap this up. This is totally off the cuff. If you have never heard the book, Dragons Love Tacos, okay? I'm going to try to do this and do this in a way that I can at least remember some of it, okay? I'm going to try this. I'm only going to read a little bit just because we got to get out of here. It's the top of the fifth right now. It's a tie ball game. Norfolk and Nashville tied at 2. All right? But I'm going to try to read Dragons Love Tacos from what I can possibly remember. All right? So here we go. Hey, kid, did you know dragons love tacos? They love beef tacos. They love chicken tacos. They love gigantic tacos and tiny tacos and little baby tacos as well. Dragons love tacos. Hey, Dragon, do you love tacos? He does. And as much as dragons love tacos, dragons cannot stand spicy peppers. They love salsa, cannot stand spicy peppers. So if you're going to have tacos for a dragon, make sure you do not get any spicy peppers. Keeping it mild is key lettuce, cheese, tomatoes. That is what makes a great taco for Dragons. That's all I can remember. I remember bits and pieces of it. I know that there's some other parts. I cannot remember the whole thing. I've read that book to my son 6,000 times, okay? And every single time, for some reason, I go into like a California bro type thing, and I don't know, all right? So that's it. Buddy, I love you. I'll see you when I get home if you're not asleep, which you better be. All right? We're wrapping up the stream tonight. Now, next week's is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now. We waited until after the draft to start the Strike Zone podcast. But next week, we're going to be a little bit later because next week is May 12th, which means it is the night that the NFL drops the roster or drops the schedule for the 2022 season. All right, I'm going to be working with Titans Radio for the unveiling. Coach Mack, Mike Keith, obviously Rhett Bryant, maybe Amy. She may bring her kid in. I mean, obviously, I'm great with kids. We're seeing that right now, right? I'll take care of the kid while we do Titans Radio and we talk about the 2022 season. Ramon Foster, all these guys. So we're doing that next Thursday, and then immediately following that, we will have the Strike Zone podcast from First Horizon Park. All right, so I appreciate everybody that hopped on tonight. I absolutely thank you for watching and enjoying the growth that is going to be the Strike Zone podcast throughout the baseball season. Make sure that you get out to First Horizon Park this weekend. You got Friday night fireworks. Saturday is going to be the Derby party. Sunday is the Mother's Day event. You're either going to make some candles with your mom or your wife, or you can get up here. She can have some mimosas. There's going to be brunch, all of that. Either one of those things you can do this Sunday here at First Horizon Park to wrap up this homestand with Norfolk. The Sounds are actually going to be on the road next week. So we're going to be at an empty stadium next Thursday. All right, y'all have a great night. Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube, all of those. Get that like in. Start following before J. Martin Ramon starts tomorrow night or tomorrow morning. And make sure you subscribe to all of our podcast channels so that if you just happen to miss me reading Dragons Love Tacos, you can go back and you can listen to it, man, while you drive into work in the morning. All right? Y'all have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.